There are three basic ways to finance a gubernatorial campaign in Maine. Number one, be extremely wealthy and pay for it all yourself. This is theoretical because I don't know anybody who has actually done that. Number two, you can do what is called a clean election campaign. This sounds really great, right? Who would not want to have a candidate run a clean campaign? Which candidate would not want to run a clean campaign? We all do. It's a terrible name for it. It should be named taxpayer funded. With this type of fundraising, the candidate gathers seed money donations, anywhere from $5 to $100, but almost always $5, of seed money from a bunch of Mainers and turns them in. The more $5 donations they collect, the more money the government gives them for their campaign. For example, Garrett Mason raised money when he ran in 2018 and received $700,000 for his campaign, for likely turning in about $48,000 or less is my estimate. Where does this $650,000 come from? There are several sources. Number one, it's in the budget. So your tax dollars and mine. You know that candidate that you think is absolutely terrible and will ruin the state? Well, if they ran clean, you funded them. The second place money comes from is all those $5 seed money donations. They don't add up to much, but they're in the mix. And number three, that Donate $3 to Clean Elections Act offer when you file your Maine state taxes, that also goes in there. So some is funded by gifts directly for that purpose, but the huge majority is our tax dollars hard at work. It should be called taxpayer funded. So what does a candidate like me, who's always railing on how we're currently spending our tax dollars, how do we raise funds? The third option is to run a traditional campaign. This is where I work my butt off, getting uncomfortable, asking people that are on board with my policies and approach if they will donate to the campaign. Don't worry, there are limits on how much each donor can give this way as well. For 2026, each donor can only give a maximum of $2,075. So the traditional candidates are limited how much sway a particular donor might have on the candidate too. Here we are in 2025 with a budget crisis because the Democrats in charge for the last 6 years haven't controlled their spending. And now we're seeing tax increases. So my challenge to anybody considering running for governor in 2026, do all of us taxpayers a favor and raise your own funds. Go traditional. Do not take taxpayer money from the state's already out of control budget for your campaign. In 2018, the state spent $6.2 million in taxpayer money funding individual campaigns. Will you share this video to help spread the word? You might just save the state millions of dollars by doing so. Lastly, if you're watching this and you're on board with my campaign, you can learn more about the campaign and donate at voterobertwessels.com. Thanks so much. I am Robert Wessels and I approve of this message.